Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Coach Krisler's Combos. Today, I am here with Raquel Cartagena, and Raquel is actually a new friend. I met her through someone you guys may have already seen, Kristen. She was a guest on a previous convo. And Raquel and Kristen actually are partnered together, working together as health coaches. So I am going to let Raquel share a little bit about herself. So Raquel, tell us who you are, where you are from, and what you do.
Okay. Alrighty. So who I am Raquel B. Cartagena, and where I'm from is I am from the state of New Jersey in the United States. And what I do, well, the number one thing that I do is the role of a mother. So that's my number one thing. So everything else, every other decision that I make is a trickle down of how that serves my family. I am a single parent, a successful single parent, that is. And so as far as my credentials, I am a certified personal trainer for actually a decade and a half now. It's been 15 years. Wow. So
Time flies.
yeah. So I am a trainer. I was a certified trainer. I worked at the traditional big box gym. Actually one of the most popular box gyms that in my area. And while I was there for I was there for 3 years, and then I just kind of need to hit the rewind button because I got into fitness because like I said, I became a single parent. But I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. And the role of a mother is, I think, the number one underrated job. There's no climbing up the corporate ladder or
Right.
So it's just like there's so much value. The value that we give is to how much money you make in your whatever work you do. And mothers get paid $0. But so when I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years, and then when I realized toward the ending of my marriage that was going to be happening, I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to take care of, I have 4 children. And at the time they were very young. My youngest son, when this, he was like 2, and my oldest daughter was like 9 or 10. And anyway, I had thought, it's interesting. I was having functional medicine thoughts.
Yeah.
Because I thought, I'm going to become a single mom. It's going to be hard as hell. It's going to be really hard before it gets better. And obviously I knew we were going to have to figure out how to make the best of, our new lifestyle. And I knew I was going to have to get back into the workforce. And I just thought, what job can I do that will still serve my family? Not just financially, but also with the energy that I was going to be bringing home. Am I going to be haggard and tired and be like, all right, I got to get dinner on the table. I used to visualize all this, like, okay, there's a lot of great jobs out there. Can I work as a nurse, a technician, and there's so many things. You can work in the hospital, like whatever. Like I was just thinking, like, how am I going to get back into the workforce? And then I had thought about fitness because while I was trying to brainstorm, I used to go to I was going to the gym, put my kids into childcare, and go over by the juice bar and write in my journal to figure out a game plan. And I used to go to the gym just to give myself some space, put the kids there, and it gave me a little breather, go on the treadmill, work out, whatever. And then I started noticing, and I was like, actually, working in this environment would be great. So then that became my goal. I was like, I'm going to figure out how to become a trainer. And then I could also use the childcare, and the kids will be with me. And I'm sure it's still going to be hard, but at least I will be in the health environment. I will be
Right.
in a healthy environment, even though that chatterbox is going to come at you and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So it's interesting speaking to you about this, because it just made me realize that I was having like functional medicine, like that positive psychology aspect of functional medicine back then.
Yeah, very
So
interesting. What stands out about that situation is that you are a critical thinker and a problem solver. Immediately there were things that were a need of yours, but you also recognized your priority, right? So you had certain priorities in terms of being a mother and keeping that in the forefront of what was going on for you. But also you knew that you had a need to fill as well in terms of income and, taking care of your family and things like that. So but also eventually recognizing that need of, I need to be able to make sure I take care of myself and take care of my children. So it was like all of these various priorities and needs you were recognizing, and you figured out how to solve the problems as well as maintain those priorities that you had.
yeah.
So clearly, you have clear values related to your family and your children, and making sure that they are cared for, and they are, kept high on the priority list. So yeah, that immediately stood out when you were talking. So tell us a little bit about how you became a functional medicine health coach.
Yes. So, well, it all started because then I became a certified trainer, and I actually did end up working in that box gym with the childcare. And 3 years in, my goal was to become a successful single mom with a healthy family. And then I wanted to start my own practice. So I was like, because the way that they did things at the gym and whatever, I just started growing, and I was like, okay, I could take this to another level. I wanted to get more into body work and some other things. And the gym was obviously focused on selling memberships. So, so I, was like, I took a look at my clientele the past 3 years and noticed that, 90 somewhat % of my clients were women, and most of them were like 35 and over. So I went back to school and I became a certified older adult and senior fitness specialist. Then I started my own practice.
Gotcha. Okay. And so from just recognizing who was needing your services and using your services, you took that kind of to the next step of getting more education, getting certified in a specialized area so that you could serve those people outside of that
Of the
kind of
box gym.
mainstream, mainstream activity.
And also because I was just like so grateful that I found out that my niche is in fitness and health. And so and then like really kind of honing in that actually I love working with my fellow middle-aged mom, and that's like my ideal client. Like that's where I thrive, working with this woman. And so then I realized that I pinpointed that this mom, specifically, she is someone who has put everyone and everything before her. And finally realizes that that's not working. And so when she's ready to make she's ready to make positive changes, but she's she's afraid either of getting hurt, maybe she has medical issues, or she's not sure where to start, or she feels she's too far gone, and so forth. So then she would call me, like this woman would call me And I'm so happy to be working alongside her in this journey of getting to from where she is to where she wants to be. And so that being said, I found my niche. This is my world, love it. Started working a lot of one-on-one. And then I decided 2 years before COVID hit to open up my own little spot. And I started a practice called the Fit Mom Camp.
Mm.
I started promoting it, and I had a launch date in September. So that when all the moms, like I waited, like, because that first week, 2 weeks when kids go back to school, you're still
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah. And so I did that, launched the date, and I actually got such an amazing response from these moms, and had a lot of women join my Fit Mom Camp. A lot of women, and I was I really was not expecting that huge of a response. And it was, I had to actually, at this point, my kids are now older, came and started helping me organize everything. Like, it was a lot, but I was so happy. And that actually, I was working with 6-week programs. I was just doing a 6-week program, and I don't know, I didn't really think, well, it turns out that people were re-signing. While this was going on, I started noticing that I was so, it was so disheartening a little bit. Like, it was really a hard pill to swallow, but I started noticing that I was feeling super drained, and I was feeling super depleted. And I was like, what is wrong, Raquel? Like, this is what you wanted. Like, what is wrong? Why? And you know what it was? And then I was like, okay, thank God for journaling. I journal. So I kept writing, and I was like, but what is wrong? Like, why, and what it was I felt like I wasn't served. Like, I was teaching these women form. I was teaching them how to lift. I was teaching them all the things that I knew, giving them confidence in a gym space, to take care of themselves, to shred weight, but there was something missing.
What's funny is that in every one of these combos that I've had so far, whether it's been somebody who is a medical professional, an author, a chef, a mom, whatever it is, it seems like every single person has been doing, something, been doing good things. And yet there is that little piece there, or there's something going on that they couldn't quite pinpoint. There was something missing. And that seems to be a common thread for a lot of people who are seeking that functional medicine approach. And some know about that and some don't, but there's something missing. So tell us about that. Tell us about what you found out was missing.
Right. So I was telling my daughter, I'm like, so the thing is that the format that I had for my my practice was, when I did the program, and I knew it was a lot, but this is how I wanted to meet every single mom in my program, and I would meet her in my office, and I wanted to know, like, why do you want to shred weight? It's never about just shredding weight. There's always a lot more. And then so I wanted to really know the woman, and I would notice them, like, rushing in, they're trying to get it done and then rush out to do this. And so I was like, gosh, these women need a lot, because they needed a practice of being still, self-awareness, chill time, block out self time, quiet time for yourself. I gotta go there, I gotta go, it was always like this. And then I would feel like I wasn't, and then it was affecting me in the sense of, and maybe it was ego, I don't know, but just feeling like, this woman, she shredded like 8 pounds, but then, she stopped coming to camp, and then she gained it all back.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm like, am I chasing my tail here? Like, I'm not really like the whole, like, yeah, I was making the most money I ever made, by the way. Most money I ever made. That was awesome. But but I'm like, and that's great. I want to make more money.
Right.
Definitely. I want to, but I want to do it in a service that's actually serving and doing the good work. That it's like, so that wasn't happening. There was a missing link. And then COVID happened. COVID hit, and then I had to shut down the gym. And, I mean, I know that was devastating, everything that happened, but I'll tell you, getting that forced slap down served me, because I just took that time to kind of meditate and say, when this is over, do I want to go back to what I was doing?
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes, that's cool.
Right.
But if the answer is no, then this is the time to figure that out. So I started researching, and I really didn't know what was missing. And I started researching, and then I started thinking, well, maybe I need to get into life coaching, like some type of lifestyle coaching. These women, I was like, it was something else. It wasn't, it's, fitness is super important.
Right.
But it's a part of the big picture. It's not
Yes.
it's not the whole picture. It's definitely a huge key, but it's not the only key. And I wasn't exactly sure. I mean, obviously we know the obvious, nutrition. So I was like, should I get a nutritional certification? And, so I'm like looking, I'm doing all this research. And I tell you, so much stuff comes out in the webs, be a health coach in 6 weeks. And I'm like, okay, that's done. Like, what am I learning in 6 weeks? Like,
Right. Yeah.
ever. So, I just really was, wanting to be the real deal. And I know that I have a lot to offer, with just my life experiences as a mother, as a fitness coach, but there was something else. And then, I was meditating, and then all of a sudden, this is how it happens. I was meditating, and something said, oh, remember this woman? And she was actually one of the women that I had did my when I had to get my certification, you have to do it work on an internship. Woman I did the internship under, and I called her, and she's a registered dietitian, and her specialty is like gut health and all this stuff. So she actually still had the same number. She responded, and I said, I'm really at a crossroads. I'm trying to understand, and I just thought, I remember, she was always amazing. And so I said to her, if you were, what would you suggest? She's like, let me think about it. She got back to me. She's like, Raquel, I think that you should look into functional medicine. Check out this functional medicine health coaching. There's also she's like, I'm going to school to be a functional medicine practitioner. She's like, but you would, that the fit for you would be the other. She's like, take a look at it. I think that might be what it is. So by the time I got to her and she gave me that information about functional medicine, I had already done so much research that when I looked up functional medicine and I started reading on that, I was like, oh my God, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it, because it talks about, yes, physical health. It talks about nutrition and all of that. And it talks about positive psychology.
Yeah.
That was like the hook of all hooks for me. And I could not wait. I knew that was it. That was it for me. And that it'll be a year this March of being a certified functional medicine health coach. And through that I met Kristen Brucker, and she is the woman that you interviewed a little while back. And so she and I are starting a podcast, and we the name of our podcast is the Functional Medicine Coaching Moms. And so we are launching February 28th. So we have been hard at work behind the scenes with that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And again, I'm hearing you speak about your values and getting those aligned, right? It
Right.
didn't, your values didn't quite align with the gym that you were at. So you made a pivot, you made a choice to change to make sure that your priorities and your values really lined up with what you were doing. But even in that sense, you were working with these women and in really impacting them positively, but still there was something missing in terms of what your values were, not quite fully aligned, and making sure that you were prioritizing what those values are and making sure that they are aligned with what you were actually doing. And so you took that next step, you pivoted again. And I think what's really important for people that are watching this to understand is when your values don't align with what you are doing, then you do find yourself drained. You find yourself burning out. You find yourself
Yes.
feeling that there's something missing. And it sounds like for you, that's really what was going on. And this is a big part of functional medicine. There's a lot that happens with our physical body, but with our mental, emotional, and spiritual selves, if things are not in alignment, that's going to have an effect on us, even in our physical body. You cannot separate those two things.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to hear your story from this viewpoint, because I do think that it is beneficial for people to understand that all of these things matter. So I'm curious, when you began going through the program and you started to kind of learn about some of the nuances of functional medicine and about coaching and weaving in that positive psychology, what did you start to feel? How were you feeling when you were going through that?
Um, I was feeling like, number one, I'm going to be able to help my clients on another level.
Mm-hmm.
And the number one thing that I really I think the number one thing that really I think that came at me was that and you probably, as a professor, you probably have the same thing. You're telling people things.
Mm-hmm.
You're giving the instructions,
Right.
you're saying, so I'm always like, all right, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing this, all right, you're going to do this next. And with functional medicine, I started learning about the fact that these people within themselves, they have the answers.
Mm-hmm.
And I am there with them to support them and, to let them start having ownership.
Yeah.
And that was a huge pivot for me moment, because then I started bringing that into my practice with my existing clients. And some
Mm-hmm.
of the clients I've had women I've been working with for the past 10 years that are still with me, and have been with me all these years. And what I do is, I'll just, even like in training, even physically training, I will say to one of my clients, okay, I'm looking at doing this program. How do you feel about that? I'm going to show you what I'm doing. And then you look at what I'm doing. And if you feel like, that's not a good fit for me, or yeah, actually, I'm good with that, and you're going to tell me what you think. And so I started
Yeah.
doing things like that, and letting them make choices for themselves so that they can feel more empowered about the fact that it's not just me. All right, do this, do 10, reps of that and this weight. And how do you feel about, should I go up in weight? Well, what do you think? Do you think that that's a good fit for you today? Like, yeah, I think I could give it. All right, awesome. Let's give it a go.
Yeah.
And so that's been really great, listening more to my clients and not just, being the expert in my space, which I am, and I get it, like I am the expert in this area, but they're the experts of their own bodies, and kind of, it's like a dance. So that was really, really cool. And so I think that instead of, I feel like, it's like the show starts like when, the trainer walks in and it's all about the trainer telling the client, da, 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 da. And so I started pivoting to, as soon as I walk in, the light shines on my client.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a completely different kind of relationship. And you use the word empower. And I think that that's a big part of functional medicine. It's a big part of coaching. It allows for the client to, as you said, take ownership, to be responsible for their healing, and to be accountable, not to you, but to themselves. We help people to learn how to be accountable to themselves. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to build dependency. We want people to be independent, right? So that they can take those steps on their own and to be able to confidently make decisions, and know maybe when they need to tweak something, when they need to change something, when they need to stay the course and kind of push through. That building that for themselves is very helpful, and it becomes something that's long-term and sustainable. Going back to what you said earlier about the women who would lose the weight and then put it back on after they've been out of the program or what have you.
Yeah,
we want people to be able to even leave our program or leave, whatever they're doing, or move to another state or whatever it is, and still be able to maintain some sort of consistency.
Right. Because they'll leave the program and be like, yeah, it doesn't work. I gained all the weight back. Like, what?
Yeah. No, that's not it.
Right. But and like what you were saying, it just made me realize also, like, that when you're able to let them make a decision, like just this, Natalie's like, well, she's just getting back. She has some surgery and all this, and she's asking me, should I do the heavier weight? And I said, Natalie, what do you think? Do you think that that's a good, and I was just talking through it with her.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, you know what, I'm going to try. I'll just go really slow and I'm going to try and see how and I'm just going to really feel. And I was like, awesome. And I just spotted her and she's like, oh my gosh, this is great. But, to me, it's like she's building confidence, body confidence, mm-hmm. and competency, like she's feeling competence within herself, that she can mm-hmm. trust her inner voice, because she's given up a space where she's able to practice it mm-hmm. and connect with it.
Yeah. That's really important for people to feel okay in that space, and it's also, I think, important to allow them to make mistakes, to allow them to go, yeah, this didn't work out this time. Let me see what I can do better. Or let's talk about, can you kind of help me through, what maybe didn't work, or how we can tweak something. It isn't always going to work.
Right.
And that's another really important thing about functional medicine, is that it is an investigation. Sometimes when you're investigating something, you immediately find, the answer. And sometimes you kind of got to pick at things and go through things and ask this question and go this direction and change directions. It doesn't always work, 100% of the time. It doesn't always work immediately. It's a long-term and it's a gradual thing. And so, it sounds like with your clients that you're really giving them that space to excel, but also still make mistakes and have those times where they can be in a safe space to do that and kind of move in a different direction if they need to.
Yes.
So you've mentioned a couple of times journaling, and I'm curious if you could maybe describe how, when you were in the space of there's something missing, I don't know what's going on, to now where it's all kind of clicked for you and coming together. What was your journaling like in those two places? How were they different?
Well, the journaling when I was going through it was like, I don't want to be in fitness anymore. I think I'm gonna go get my real estate license.
Just being real.
Yeah, I'm so done. I can't figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so my journaling, the thing is that so journaling for me, first of all, like a little background is I am an only child to a single mother who suffered a lot of depression and moved a lot. So I think I started kind of like writing when I was like 14.
Mm-hmm.
And so no matter where we moved, we moved a lot. And so my journal was like my one consistent thing that,
Yeah.
and my go-to. And so, journaling is to me, connecting me to my inner voice.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that, God created me with purpose. And my job is to figure out what that is and to be in alignment with that, because we get lost. And so journaling to me is like when I'm going through a hard time or good time. Sometimes I don't write for a long time. Sometimes I can go for weeks or a month or not write. And then I'll, it's like depending on the season. But at that time, I was definitely journaling a lot because I just I felt very depleted and I felt discouraged. And I have other friends that are fitness professionals who do very well and who opened up like boot camps and, are expanding. They have different locations now. And I'm like, well, they obviously found their mojo, and the reason that they're doing so well is because they're all in. This is like them, and I'm like, I know that I have that, but I haven't found it completely yet. And so journaling, I kept writing about it and writing about it. And I did, I'm not kidding. I journaled and said, well, maybe you just need, and I did, like, I did a 2-week thing and learned about real estate and passed. That I can, like, if I wanted to take my real estate, like I could. And it was actually great to let my brain work in a different place, which was really, really, really awesome. And that was part of like what I was writing about in my journal, was like how I was working with, it was just a complete different function of my brain, which I think because of that, and with writing about it, that's when I just realized like, no, definitely fitness and health is definitely my thing.
Right.
And it was like a reset button. And then that's when I would meditate. I do like 2 to 10 minutes. And I just listen, and I always have my journal there in case like I just have reoccurring thoughts. I get them out of my head and onto paper. And that's when like I would get deposits of what to do, right? Like, and so then now my journaling has to do with the fact that I feel I am here. I found my friends that have their boot camps. I found my space. And and I feel like I'm so glad, because I know that I love working with other moms.
Mhm.
I love working with middle-aged women that are moms, and that's who I am. You know, I'm a middle-aged mom, and I understand the struggles, and I understand, you know, I can relate, and I have a lot of experience in this arena personally, and then also professionally.
Mhm.
And so now it's interesting, because now my journaling looks a lot more like, okay, you know, what am I going to do now? You know, just like the next step in
Yeah.
building this podcast. And I'm sure, you know, like even with this YouTube channel and all the different things that you have to learn, in, you know, having the mic, like I just got this, you know, our mic here, and,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, like setting up the space and
Mhm.
taking classes, and so, but I feel like I'm in the zone. I'm in a place that I'm going to be able to serve wholeheartedly.
Mhm.
And I, you know, I know some people don't, you know, I mean, I love writing. Some people don't like writing, but I think that especially in today's world with social media, with our phones, not just social media, just with our phones, everything, like
Mhm.
you can Google this, you can do, everything's like so fast. I think when the thing for me with writing and journaling is that it slows everything down,
Mm. Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
and then I'm able to like go in and I'm writing. And so it's like I can only go as fast as I'm writing, and it just slows down the thought pattern.
Mhm.
And I think that answers come to you because you're able to like kind of I guess, you know, it like I don't know, just I think it's just basically the slowing down. You know, I think of it as if there's a tsunami going on and somebody threw the Empire State Building into the tsunami, you wouldn't know,
Right.
because there's already so much chaos
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if there was a still pond and you throw a pebble in it, you'll see that ripple effect.
Mhm. Mhm. It keeps going. Yeah, absolutely.
So then you would be aware, that awareness. So for me, like journaling brings awareness. It helps me to slow down. It helps me to quiet the space so that I can actually see and not just like be a reaction to some other reaction. And, you know, which was actually what happened to me, because originally when all that was going on and I felt like, what's happening? Like, how could, you know, how could I be drained? How could this is my dream situation. And then I'm like, oh, I'm just going to get into real estate.
Right. Right.
That was
Yeah.
just a crazy, like, you know, it's not crazy, but I mean, it was like it was a reaction to another, you know, and I'm like, all right, stop. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hit the restart button here, girl.
Yeah. You know, it's really cool that you e- even though that wasn't the thing for you, that you took the step and kind of, you know, let yourself do something a little bit different, because it did maybe trigger some things. It did
Yes.
kind of pull you back into, okay, that's not really where I need to be or where I want to be. It doesn't align with my values. It's not a
Oh
part
my
of my
God.
priority. And, you know, I was having this conversation recently with some other women, and we were talking about how, you know, for some people, it's very difficult for them to move forward because there's this fear that it's not going to work out.
Yes.
Right? It's not all 100% aligned, or, you know, everything isn't perfectly said, or what if I need to do different steps in a different order, or whatever it is. And all of our experiences really are valuable. They really
Yes.
can teach us something. They can help maybe narrow our focus or realign us to our priorities or remind us of our purpose. And it really sounds like for you, even though this was a very big departure from where you had been, it kind of snapped you back into that, this is not my purpose. This is not aligned with my value set. And so, it's great that you took that step and then you reordered yourself. You used the tool that's really helpful for you personally and brought yourself back to that space of, okay, now what am I going to do going forward towards what is for me?
Yeah.
And I think for those that are watching, hearing that can be extremely valuable, because they may be in that place right now. They may be in that place of the unknown. I don't know how to move forward, or I don't know quite what direction is for me, or, they may be feeling stuck or overwhelmed. And just taking that step can be very helpful.
Yeah.
In order to kind of move you forward.
Yeah. And I have to chime in on what you're saying is when you said you took a different direction and you explored that, because that was important. And first of all, yeah, when it didn't work out the way I thought it was going to work out, right, with the Fit Mom Camp, it's so easy. And I did it for like a split second, right? Because I did the real estate thing for a split second, but it's so easy to say, all right, well, I tried and it didn't work out.
Right.
All right, done.
Yeah.
All right, let me go back to that's it. And what is that? That's the all or nothing mindset and attitude. And I was just talking to when Kristen and I had a meeting the other day, and she's like, we were talking and she's like, I have to quote what you just said. And it's basically like the all or nothing mindset is taking people to their graves. They're dying with their gifts inside of them.
Yeah.
The all or nothing attitude. And that's what was like, so then I was like, then I did the real estate thing. That served me because that brought me to another realization, which was, oh, okay. Because, I have been doing this for like, at that point, I was doing it already for over 10 years, being a fitness professional. So that's like my whole world. But doing the whole real estate thing made me realize that, oh, there are other parts of my brain that I can use and they actually work. And if I wanted to do something completely different, I could probably do that.
Right.
Which made me realize that actually I don't have to do shit. I hope it's okay that I curse. I don't have to do anything. I literally can pack a backpack, walk out my door, catch a flight, and no one will ever see me again and start a new life. Like if I wanted to, like I could do that. But why don't I? Because I don't want to. I want to live this life. Where I'm at. I mean, like where I am, living in this home with my family. So it just, but I just say that because when we find ourselves complaining about everything under the sun, oh my God, I got to do this. And I'm like, no, you don't have to do shit. Don't do it. Then don't do it. But don't stand there and complain about it. If you're going to complain about it, then don't do it. Find peace, find your centeredness. I don't have to do any of it. Oh, okay. Then that means one thing, that I actually want to do this.
Yeah.
I actually am in alignment with where I want to be and how I want to be. And, if as long as I'm here a year from now and I'm breathing, time is still moving along.
And it'll leave you behind if you don't do your thing.
Right. Who are you in this space and time when women say, oh my gosh, that's going to take forever, Raquel? I'm like, really? Forever? Like, listen to what you're saying. You're setting yourself up, you're not even giving yourself a shot because of the words that you're using. This is going to take forever. Well, you know what? First of all, you're not going to live forever. So that's not true. And, and, a month from now is, if you're alive and breathing, a month from now we'll be here. And if you have that, well, that's going to take forever attitude, you would have not taken any of these steps. So it's not an all or nothing thing, and you don't have to do any of it. You're right. But just think about a month from now. Sometimes people like to do that, like that 5-year plan, or,
Yeah.
and to me, like, that's cool, that's cool. But to me, I just think like a month from now, because it's just like a month from now is like, okay, a month from now. Yeah, a month from now is not too far away.
No,
And,
it isn't.
and you can just be like, all right, a month from now, maybe I can shred, I could be 3 pounds lighter, less stress on my body. I could feel a little bit better. Maybe a month from now, I would have started something where I walk for, 15 minutes after dinner every night, 5 times, whatever, something, like little steps, little steps, not an all or nothing, because that doesn't work. That's
Right. It's not sustainable.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, oh my goodness, this has been such a great conversation. Speaking of time, it has flown by.
Yes.
You are a bundle of energy, and I absolutely love it.
Glad you could handle
Thank
it.
thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. I think for the folks that are watching, it's really going to be very beneficial for them. So if people want to connect with you, if they want to learn more, you mentioned your podcast already, the Functional Medicine Coaching Moms podcast that will be forthcoming. But how else maybe could they connect with you or maybe follow you on social media?
Yeah, sure. So I do have my own personal training business, which is called Transformative Body Training. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook. And then also the functional medicine coaching moms. We have an Instagram and a Facebook page as well. So you can find us there. And then I also have Raquel B. Cartagena. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate your time. I loved all of the nuggets and takeaways that you shared. I think it's going to be really, really encouraging for people to hear your story and your health journey, and how you've integrated all of, just your personal experiences into really providing for others, serving others, and aligning that with, what your purpose is. So thank you so much. And for those of you that are watching, I would love to hear your comments on our conversation. So drop your comments below, and make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the combos. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.